Hey everybody, Grand Commander here, and I'm here to welcome all of you to another stream. In this, we're going to be reading the Story of Equinox, the revised version, until I need to leave my house. So, exactly what it says. I did do some reading on this book before, however, this is a brand new start of it. I've been typing it instead of handwriting it, like I said I was going to, and I just didn't get to it yet. It's always better to write things out before you write things out again. And I probably will change all of this at least one more time. So, yeah, but, whoops. I just woke up not that long ago, so I might be a little bit tired today. But let's read with emphasis. Cool. Yeah, I can't find a way to do the Microsoft where it just comes up white. So that's a shame. Oh well. So I'll just have to read it like I did before. Alright. Part 1. Act 1. Scene 1. There's Jack Latif on secondary Earth. A ship crashed nearby. The city's forces were alerted of a possible containment issue. Everyone was on high alert. My brother and I sat in our house outside the city in a suburb. He looked at me as I came into the room. "McCrot?" I yelled from the other side of the room. "What?" McCrot asked, confused. "A human ship crashed nearby," I said quickly. "Again?" McCrot asked, even more confused than the last time. "Every couple of days we have been getting alerts that ships are crashing. For a peaceful planet, there seems to be quite a few objects falling from the sky in bad shape before they hit the ground." "Can we go?" I asked him. "As long as we're home before dinner," he told me in his super strict voice. He never liked leaving my mom by herself, although we did have a great time exploring without her. We sometimes would ask if she wanted to come along, but her answer was always the same. No. It has almost been 3 years since our dad climbed aboard a white spaceship with 3 cylindrical landing bays hanging from it. He was the security operator of his starship. We loved him. Every time we get to a wreck, we check the identification number. By this, we can tell if it's the Lawn Dodge. We got on our small one-person hovercrafts and took off toward the crash. Luckily, we don't have to use them only on streets. We can off-road with them. We entered the forest using a small gap in a fence line. We drove to the crash site. There was a nearby hill that we took cover at, so we could inspect before getting too close. "No dead bodies at this one either," I mentioned, talking into my small tablet. "Nope," he agreed with me. We walked closer. "What's that noise, McCrot?" I asked, not understanding what could be happening. "Take cover!" he yelled. We got down. 8 government trucks stormed down the road. "Did you get the identification number?" he asked. "No, let me try to get it," I said, excited to use my new device that I had gotten the day prior. "We don't have time," he exclaimed. "Let's get home now," he said calmly as we left the woods the way we came. The forest was quiet now. Nothing moved. We arrived at Vent Drive, our street. A strange black car sat in the driveway, and a man sat on our porch. He was sitting in Dad's favorite chair. How dare he? "Sons, you are home. Clean up and prepare for dinner," he said seriously as he walked inside. Nyogo, our sister, came out. "Better come inside, it's Lem Lemir's night," she told both McCrot and I. We all walked inside together. Vim Lemir's is a local animal that is very expensive to buy. "Jack!" Mom yelled out, looking for one response. "Yes?" I yelled back. Did you get your brother into trouble again? She asked, looking at us on the news behind the shuttle crash. No, not at all, I said in a totally sarcastic manner. She looked at me as we came into the kitchen. Sit down, boys. Time for a family dinner, she said, looking at our father, forbidden for way too long. How was the trip home? She asked him. Good. I went to the upper levels of Osgan on this trip, he told us. What was it like? I asked him. It was this beautiful place. The grass was blue and it had large stone mountains. The homes were quite beautiful as well. Tall buildings were common in the few sectors I was in. Oh, and the caves were just so deep and interesting. But nothing will ever be like home, he said, reminding us that we were the most important thing to him. Go get ready for bed, kids. We'll be up in a few to tuck you in personally. Our mother, Life, told us. She always had a high emotional quotient. I could see how the two of our parents fell in love. They were both brave, strong, and knew how to fight back. We were a family to be afraid of. Alright, so, let me check chat. Make sure nobody's there. Hiding out. Cool. So, in scene 1, you get Jack and McCraw. They're brothers. And their father comes back home, who they haven't seen in a long time. I'm probably going to give a little, maybe like an extra page of how much they miss their father somewhere in here. But, yeah. Because they think he's dead. Honestly. Alright. Well, that wraps up that. Yeah. Ooh. Alright, scene 2. As McCrot. I laid in bed waiting for my parents to come in and say goodnight. The red light above my bed, casting weird shadows on my walls. Was casting weird shadows on my walls. My door opened as my dad knocked. He sat down on my bed to my left. My mom walked in. She sat on the other side. I wanted to give you a gift, McCrot, he told me as he handed an unwrapped light-speed increaser, the same one he and Mom had made to escape the planet Hodish. Thank you, Father, I said. One more thing. Can you keep a secret from Jack? He asked. Sure, I told him, not knowing how big of a secret it was. He told me of the war that had been going on above secondary Earth for centuries. Ever since the founding of this peaceful world, I couldn't believe it. The Invalloans and Nicleosans were angry at us humans for not letting them be a part of our peaceful civilization. I was not allowed to even mention to my brother that alien life was real. I couldn't tell him anything. Father said that if he found out, the universe would curse our family, not letting us someday reclaim our thrones in the heavens. I didn't know what to say or do from here. Dad? I asked as he left the room. Yes, son, he said. Are we safe? I asked. Of course, son. I will protect us, he said. The door closed. I was alone. Seeing my brother in the halls was awkward now. I couldn't even speak to him. We grew apart. Just as well, anyways. He was always sneaking out to go see his girlfriend, Jennifer. She was always around. She looked too thin to be real. She had sparkling green eyes and beautiful red hair. Forbidden didn't like her, though. Then, one day, out of the blue, she was gone. A disease that was rarer than rare affected her. She was in the hospital several days before the virus took her. He was never the same. They were planning to get married in a month. When he left the hospital room that day, You could tell something was different. He didn't come out of his room for months. He sobbed. In the middle of the night, you could hear him write angrily. I had to go check on him. Brother, are you awake? I asked as I opened the door. Yes, he said as if he were so exhausted he couldn't speak. Will you be okay? I asked. No. My one true love is gone forever, he answered. I looked at his light fixture in his room. He had a rope hanging from it. On the wall closest to his bed, he had a large collection of poison, although most of the bottles were empty, or close to. You have to use the loss to fuel you, brother. Find a new passion. She's only frozen. If someone finds a cure, then she will be revived. I told him, knowing that something like that could never be done. Not by him. You're brilliant, brother, he told me as he gained enough strength to crawl out of bed and jump from his window down to the ground. Thank you, brother, he yelled up at me. Alright, that's the end of Scene 2. So in Scene 2, we meet Jennifer, the love of Jack's life. And that through his eyes, because he feels bad that he started these chain of events. Because if they stayed connected, maybe Jennifer wouldn't have been in Jack's life, is what McCrott is thinking. And you can tell this by just him wanting to go and talk to his brother. And yeah, and his brother's in a really dark place before he goes and talks to him. I mean, he's got a noose hanging from the ceiling. He's drinking poison. He's not doing well. He's depressed, suicidal. But none of it's working. And it's because, so far, they can still... Oh, hold on. They can still regain their thrones in the heavens. So. Alright. Let's go. Scene 3. As Jack. 19 years later. Trajectory University was an amazing place to have studied, I told the talk show host. How did you manage to get here? Where you are today? I mean, everyone on planet Earth. Everyone on every planet knows the name Jack Lactive, he asked. My brother helped me out of a real dark time. I went to Trajectory University, obviously, and studied DNA implementation and genome splicing. I'm trying to come up with a cure for the neurogen disease, I told the host. You also had a second degree, correct? He asked. I have several more, actually, I told him confidently. Most of your degrees are MRPs as well, correct? He already knew, but wanted me to look better. An MRP takes about 12 years per, and is the next level up from doctorate. Oh, and I have 15 total. And I accomplished in the last 19 years. So I guess you could say that I'm not only smart, but dedicated as well. Yes, they are all MRPs, I told him. Wow, that's amazing. Any jobs you're doing coming up that we can know about? He asked. Yes, I'm going to work for my cousin, Traya, on Beagle. Since I have a degree in statistical analysis of war data and security, I'm the perfect person to assist her in her Civil War efforts. I finished, and then got up off the chair and exited stage left. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jack Lactive, he told the audience as everyone clapped and cheered. Walking home that night was a little strange. My face was on every pop culture magazine and newspaper. I was voted most handsome bachelor in the world and smartest man in the universe. Yet, I was still lonely. I couldn't go home, so I called my brother to meet me for pie before I left for a strange ice world the next day. Thank you again, brother, for pushing me to be better than myself. And, oh my god. And, as a gift of my gratitude, I'd like to give you something. I gave him a large box. Wow. Thank you, brother. I've never felt anything like this before, he told me as he looked into my eyes with absolute sincerity. It was my first dissertation on war science. A new attack flank maneuver called the triple flank. You're welcome, brother, I said to him. When you meet her, tell her that I'm a big fan of how she can hold herself at speeches that she makes, he said to me. Anything for you, brother. You mean the world to me, I said to him before eating the last bite of my pie and leaving through the front door of the cafe, where we would share our last moment together before my career would take off. I went home for sleep before I was awakened from a strange sound. I went downstairs in my private mansion to look for where the strange sound was emanating from. A small device sat under the couch, face up. I touched the thumb pad as I lifted it. A man appeared in a gold color. Jack Latif, you have been selected by the family to maintain our position on the Urchean Council. When you reach Beigel, you will report immediately to room 5A7, he said. The man then vanished from the air. I'd never seen this kind of device before, especially none of this caliber. I looked out at the lake behind my house. It had a beautiful red tint, like the sky. The zen that surrounded the house were interesting this time of year, as the trunks turned purple. I walked out to my ship, boarded, and left. To Beigel, an ice planet that sat far from its sun. The days are short, and the nights are long. I lifted off the ground and pushed lightspeed increaser to full blast and opened warped lightspeed. I had custom formatted my own starship to go faster than all others. With my mechanical engineering background, I was able to open the other exhaust systems to accept full plasma injections. The glow of the star systems nearby glowed in my viewfinder. Before I knew it, I was there. Okay. Another really important scene. You learn a lot about Jack Latif in this, because this book moves fast. So, you learn that he's smart. He is dedicated. And I said that instead of showed that, so I have to fix that. You learn that he's got several MRPs, which are 12 years. Doctorates take about 6 or 8 sometimes. So they're a little bit past that. And he's got 15, 16 of those, something like that. Tons. And I mean, you can hear about all the other things he has going on. He is known for being super smart. And I think it even says that. Yep. Most handsome bachelor in the world and smartest man in the universe. So yeah, I mean, he knows like literally everything about the subjects that he's learned. So, and that's great. I mean, he really knows his crap. Alright, so next scene. Scene 4. As Jack on Beigel. Hey, cuz! I stood up after I landed. What up? She said to me as she ran in for a hug. How's your shadow? I asked. He's good. He misses my mom, but he's good, she said. That's great. Want to show me around and walk me through the situation? I asked as I followed her down the hallway towards the main boardroom. We sat down. We have all weapons stored in Sector Y and all infirmary units in 311. If any of those zones are lost, we are forced to surrender. The mountains do give us great cover against aerial attacks, but can easily be flanked by light hover tanks. Our enemy is quick in achieving ground assault movements. No reinforcements can get to the main gates of our city, and no enemy can walk through either. We expect daily shipments of supplies and rations through the small underground subway trams that can also be expected to deliver goods and people to the universal beam that is being built in the main archway of Chotolomagi. The main reactor hasn't been built yet, but when it is, it will be stored in the armory and weapon storage. The main control room and full view center will be open every morning and will be expected to close about around daybreak. Your barracks and all other barracks will be down hallway 211, and all further questions will come to me directly. You are under full surveillance, and you will be expected to get the Urchin Council's approval on every new act you put in place, no matter how trivial it may seem. Like I said, any questions, even in need of a drink, come to me. Understand? Yes, but I do have a few minor questions. First, at night when I cannot sleep and want to do research, where can I go? Second, how do I get in contact with the Urchin Council? Is it room 5A7? Finally, when you say full surveillance, what do you mean? At night, you cannot sleep. At night, when you cannot sleep, you are expected to either be in your room, in the mess hall on the second level, or in the research lab on deck 4 in zone 1. The research lab has a scientist who works around the clock and is there at night to help you find a cure for that horrible disease that took the one you love. You do get in contact with the Urchin Council in room 5A7. In there, you will need to use your identification number to gain access to the main council that will let you message and enact the main members. Just as a reminder, if you enact the council under false pretenses or without the authority to do so, it is a long-term crime punishable by exile. A few scientists have pushed it before and found themselves on the planet Hell. Full surveillance means that you will be monitored to check your contacts, and all bodily functions are happening properly, as it is hard for some people to get adjusted to this frozen climate. She told me, while maintaining an upbeat vibe. To appreciate the research scientist being there at night. I was also told by Macrot that he admires how calm you are during your speeches. I told her, "Aw, that's so sweet of him. What if he doesn't come out of his shell and just talk to me? I think he and I would have a great relationship if you just came around more." She told me, "I'm gonna go for a walk and get a feel for the environment," I said, as I walked out of the front door of the castle to a nice courtyard that had a statue of Traya standing full above it. She was beautiful like the Zen back home. I miss my house. As I walked around, all I could hear were long-range missiles being launched to keep the opposing forces from entering the kingdom. I went back inside after doing a perimeter check to go to sleep. In the morning, life would start. My first contract. I couldn't wait to start and make the Bygolshans safe and happy. I walked into the command viewport. As I stepped through the doorway, I noticed that all 4 guards saluted when I entered. I walked to the middle of the room to my lectern. "Attention!" I started. "There are forces approaching from all sides this morning. I need heavy assault weapons for tanks on top of the mountains. I want squad 6AG and 7HY to be held by Revlens and my good college friend, General Yoros. You will walk your troops to the nearest gate at the furthest point from the castle. You will then do a wide-sail defensive movement and scale back their forces to the old canal. Then, I will lead an assault against the lower valley. No one will see us coming. Not until it's too late," I said. "I will go instead of Commander Jaklativ, as he is not permitted to leave the walls as his contract states," Traya told everyone. Everyone clapped, now that they knew the new game plan. I'll never understand how she stays so calm in public speaking roles. She's an ideal queen. Then they left. I watched the hologram screens cut out as they left their natural walls. The defenses of the castle were truly unique. Then they returned with no casualties and only 1 wounded. The wounded woman had turned a purple color, which I assumed was from a certain type of bullet that shot her. Tria came to me. They weren't expecting us, just like you said, Jack, she told me, unleashing an unnecessary amount of sass. I walked away with a grin on my face. We would win this war yet. I walked past my room on the way to the research division. As I walked in, the scientist recognized me from class. It was my genome splicing teacher, Dr. Meldroves. Meldroves. I could tell immediately that he was enthused to have me working with him to create a cure for that awful disease. We worked well into the night. As daylight approached our kingdom, I walked back to my room, not to sleep, but to change. I needed to instruct the council of what I've been doing and how the Civil War is going. I walked into the room and set my identification badge in the middle of the large oblong table so that I could read out my identification number listed below the picture of me. The council sat before me. Today, I will ensure security outside the outer defenses, I told the officials. How can you do that without knowing your enemy? A hooded man in the background asked. I could simply understand that 2 planetary cycles ago, there was an attack that allowed us to infer that the enemy only takes out our guards when they know for sure that the guards are positioned. Therefore, we will go in the cover of darkness as to escape advertisement. I told him proudly. Good. Surrender your emotions to obtain victory. The same man said. Which was weird. Those in favor of Jack seeking counsel in the upper mountains from Vist, say aye, he finished his thought. Aye, said everyone in unison. It is decided then. Jack will go to Vist and learn of the powers of the gods. The same hooded man said. Then, everyone cut out. That was it? I was worried for a minute there. I ran to my room to put on my snowsuit. I then grabbed a rope and some interesting spiked shoes and scaled the mountains. It was cold down below. It got colder up above, though. How is that possible? I said aloud, with no one around. Before I knew it, I was there. Vist's cave. Welcome, Jack Latif, she said as I stumbled into her cave. A large woman stood before me. She had several lamps behind her, lighting her from behind, drawing contrast from the dimly lit background. She was pretty for a cave lady. I am Vist, an accomplished researcher on the gods, she told me in a wildly creative voice. I was a bit on edge. Look at me, she commanded. I want you to focus on my eyes and the reflections of the green flames, she finished. But the fire was behind her. The flames were orange. Then I looked into her eyes. And behold, the flames were green-blue. I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Then I was pushed into a black room. This is your subconscious. The darkness you're experiencing is just an illusion that will soon dissipate, leaving you with knowledge that you so desperately feel you need to have a full understanding of the life you most want to fulfill, she said in a creepy tone, leaving me in my own mind. We lie, the voice told me as I found myself wandering around my own space. You are destined for more, another voice said to me as I stumbled into another part of my brain. Then I came to. She looked at me with fear. What happened? Are you okay? She asked in a worried manner. Yeah, I think so. Responding in a way that made it seem like I knew something happened that worried her. I was asked to only show you the book from the gods and not to do my dark magic on you. I'm sorry. But I just thought it'd be fun, she told me. Can I see the book? I asked. She handed it to me, but not in a way that made me feel safe. She shook as she forcefully rejected the book from her hand into mine. I felt like a monster. Then, I read about the gods in silence. I soon realized on every page was a portrait of my family. Forbidden, life, tragedy, and more were in here. Even my cousin Tria and my brother Macrot. Not me. I was no god. I wanted power so badly, but would never wield it. I got close to the end of the book when she pulled the book away and kicked me out of her small, quaint cave. I did notice how much colder it was outside in the elements. The bottom of the mountain sat about 12,000 feet below me. I couldn't believe how long it took me to get down. Or how long it would take me to get down. Look to the right. You're kidding me, I yelled aloud, bursting into laughter. A subway tram station set about 300 feet away. I walked over to it. No one seemed to be getting on or off, yet it still stopped for me. I boarded. Looking around, I noticed that there were boxes of parts for the universal beam being built. There were a few crates in the back of the tram. Kneeling over them, I noticed several instruction manuals. I picked one up and started to read. Several pages in there were diagrams of triple-layered exhausts, but I knew that those would not work for this large of a building. I wrote the words, "Call Macrot," on the page below the diagram. The tram was going at top speed down the mountain. There was no more time to look around in the boxes before the doors were thrown open and Tria stood before me. "He's looking for you." "Dr. Melbjobs?" I asked. She answered with a long pause. "There's a potential synthesizer," she finished. I ran to the research room. There was no more obstacles in our way. We could do this. I arrived. "Sir, how can we do it?" I asked as I ran in. A man walked out to the main computer. "Who are you? Where's Dr. Melbjobs?" I asked. "She didn't tell you?" he asked. "Tell me what?" I said quickly. "She had to banish him to Osganer. Hell, as it's known. He was found collaborating with the opposing forces. And all he said to back it up was that he was having a vision. He told me. "Hey, Gwynch. I run a genome splicing facility in the far reaches of the unkept territory, outside the main walls. I cannot believe she didn't tell you," he told me. I walked away briskly, giving him the middle finger. I walked into my room and sat down on the bed. I looked at the empty wall and noticed that there was no more sadness in my heart. Just anger. I couldn't believe how he had done this, not only to me but to her. Betrayal and lies were the only words coming to mind. I stood up. The sadness came back in a powerful rush. I fell to the ground. The dark room reappeared. This time, a strange creature with no eyes ran towards me. It had a teardrop-shaped head and a large body that didn't proportionally match to the rest of its parts. It wanted me. Then I awoke. I was in a bright room. Was I awake? "Jack Lativ, do you have anything to say to us?" Tria asked. A completely white room sat around us. There was no reference point at all to even tell where the floor touched the walls. I was alone. Well, I wish I was. "What do you mean?" I'm not realizing," I said, now realizing that I had been cuffed to the chair that I was sitting in. "You are working with the enemy," she said. "The Neotranja," she finished. I couldn't believe I was being set up. She played a clip on a hologram projector. In it, I yelled the word Neotranja. Was that all she had on me? "I was having a vision," I told her. I could tell by her face that she didn't believe me. I looked at her calm face. Just like him. Interesting. Are the two of you working together? She asked. No, I literally had a vision. I'm guessing it's from Vist, she said. She did something to me up there, I told Trya. Liar! She exclaimed. She specifically asked to not use her strange magic on you. She told me quickly and fluently. Let me go. I'm innocent, I said swiftly and assertively. We are going to put this blindfold on you, so you can't memorize your surroundings or flight patterns, she said as another person entered the room and stuffed my head in a pillowcase-type object. Trya pushed me down on my knees and watched as I squirmed. The security operative in the room picked me up on my arms and slung me over his shoulder. You taking me out Bay 1 or 2? Because Bay 2 is closer by about 10 meters. Also, I already know the route we're taking to Osgin. We'll be taking the subroute known as the Unique Passage through a Nebula. The subroute known for its unique passage through a nebula. I told her in a muffled voice because of the mask. Shut up, Jack. Sir, take off his mask. There's no point. She told the man. He did as she asked. We arrived at the shuttle. Where's the doctor? I asked Trya. He was sent out about 4 days ago. She told me. In a soft and calm voice, which I'm starting to believe is her natural voice. 4 days ago? I had that vision yesterday, and that's the day he left, I said in a concerned voice. No. For the last 4 days you have been missing. We were not able to find you. Then, finally, when we did, you were in your room, she said. A man came up behind me. Then, I got sleepy. Scene 5. As Jack on Osgin. So, let's check chat. Nobody in chat. Oh, I need a second. Alright. So, scene 3 is Jack on Beigel. So first he finds out all sorts of things about Beigel. You're learning about the planet he is going to be living on for a while. But an unexpected turn happens. He went and saw Vist. Which didn't need to happen, honestly. Doesn't make much sense in the storyline of things. Why he'd go and see her. We'll later. But yeah, so you start to see how he interacts with Trya. And then you learn that he's been gone for 4 days. Where the heck did he go? Also, Neochandra. He's going to start putting the 2 and 2 together. He kind of already has, if you can tell. But that the teardropped head creature and the Neochandra are the same being. And they're aliens. And they are the true enemy of the Beigolsians. Scene 5. As Jack on Osgin. We arrived. The atmosphere of the planet seemed to only be smoke and water vapor mixed. They took the ship down. The surface of the world was a beautiful sight. The blue grass and large stone mountains sat beneath us. Then we entered a large smoke shaft that took us under the surface. We entered a large opening with cave systems falling through every wall. There seemed to be no trees or plants down here. In the ship there were 4 other prisoners. As we were moving, the first one was thrown out. Then the next. I was next. A man took me by my leather jacket that I always wore and dragged me over to the back hatch. Be safe down there, Jack, he said to me. He then pushed me out. Why did no one else get a goodbye? Ah! I yelled in a short burst as I seemed to wake up. I sat up. Dizziness flooded my head. I noticed a pointy silver rock sat under my head. Blood dripped off that strange rock. I stood up and stumbled forward. "Other way, Jack. Other way," a man's voice said as I continued straight. I turned around. A man ran towards me. I felt like I was falling. He grabbed me and helped me stay on my feet. "There's help this way," he told me. I used him as a crutch. A cave lied ahead. How did he know? Shadows in the cave seemed to resemble people. I fell again, as my coat and bag were quite heavy. Someone in the cave turned out the light. I looked at the man I was holding on to for guidance, to realize he was a figment of my imagination. A shadow from the cave sat observantly at the entrance. "Come," the voice said as I crawled. Then the whole world went dark. I woke slowly, only seeing blurry red dots in my vision. Anger flushed my mind. Beigel and Tria would pay for this. I sat up quickly, feeling a bandage had been properly secured around my head. My vision had returned almost fully when a man I recognized walked into the room. "Doctor," I said to him as he nodded his head. "I go by Mala now," he told me. He had cut all the hair off his head and grown a short goatee. I was met with a long gaze as well. "Jack?" "We have work to do," he said quickly as he walked out of the room. "Did you figure out how to synthesize everything?" I asked him. "No. Unfortunately, I was unable to find a way. I was thinking maybe you could do some research and find a way," he said, almost as a question. "I couldn't do research if we had no technology." "Do you have a way I could research?" I asked, knowing by my surroundings that there was no way I could get my hands on anything worthwhile. I was interested to see how he thought I could do it, though. "Books. Lots of books. I'll take you downstairs. We can find something for you." "I was thinking of using Ichthyosin blood to run diagnostics," he told me. "Ichthyosin? What is that?" "Oh, duh. You were never exposed to the war or any of the other intelligent species," he said. "Oh, I worked on Beigel," I told him, showing that I knew exactly what he was talking about. "No, Jack. The one over secondary Earth that has been raging for a few decades or more. The one between the humans and the Inviloan and Ichthyosin's armies," he said. "Wait. There are several more species? I just found out about the Neotranja before I left," I told my old colleague and my new friend Mala. "Yeah. Ichthyosins are small creatures. They have yellow fur with brown spots and stand on two legs," he said. I wish I could have seen my own face. "Why is there a war over secondary?" I asked him. "Well, the Inviloans and Ichthyosins wanted to be invited to live on the peaceful world. But when your father told them that they'd have to wait a while, they got angry. After declaring war, secondary Earth still stands strong against both worlds." He put it simply. I put my hands in my pocket. A sheet of paper laid inside of the dark cavity of my coat. I took it out and folded it. I noticed immediately that it was from the book in Vist's cave. I must have ripped out the page. At the top of the page was a title which read, "Father Dorchtel." On the page it mentioned his godly duties. He was the god of meddling and the god of gods. His fury was unique and he seemed to have a violent anger about him. Why did I keep this page? On the back of his page was another. A picture of a creepy creature sat on the page. A man greater than men, who was exiled as a god, who would return to the family to the heavens, and end the war between good and evil by eliminating all sides. He will create the Talagon gene and become the god of gods for everyone with it. He is powerful and angry. Summoning him is impossible. He will only be known by the title Grand Commander Equinox. His godly duties are to protect war, peace, and chaos. With peace comes chaos. With chaos comes war. And at the end of war comes peace, is what the page read. Mala stood behind me reading everything I did. You gonna take me to the research books now? I asked him. Oh, yes, Jack, he said to me. We walked over to a shaft. Oh my god, I can't stop yawning! He took me over to a shaft where a long ladder extended down into the dark abyss. Mala led the way. I couldn't believe how much work he and the other few quiet scientists had done down here. How long has everyone been here, Mala? I asked curiously. I've been here around 10 days. The others have been around for a very long time, he said in response. I walked over to the bookshelf next to the wall. There. That same voice from earlier said to me as I looked at a book. Mala, what is this book about? I said, picking it up. Umbrican Royalty and Bloodlines, he started with the title. It's about how the blood of some Umbricans and is different than others, he finished. Can we use Umbrican blood to sympathize with things? Or did you already run that scenario? I asked him, not even knowing what an Umbrican was. I could put that in the system. See if we get a success or not. He told me as he ran off. I stayed in the research lab. Mala came down the ladder quickly as I sat reading in silence. It works, he told me. Really? Yes. Well, kind of. I know that it won't create the exact thing we originally wanted to create, but it will open a new chemical agent that will help evolve immune systems, so no one gets any more major disease in the future, he told me. Is the neurogen disease covered by the new vaccine? I asked Mala. Yes! He shouted. Cool! Oh, how do we go about getting Umbrican DNA? I asked. First off, we need a spaceship. Then, we need an orange Umbrican royal family member, as their blood will be able to synthesize the fastest. He said quickly. How do we get a spaceship? I asked. We don't, Jack. The only time a spaceship comes around is when the Bygolshans are dropping off exiles, he said slowly, almost like he was thinking of pulling off a heist. No, Mala, I said, knowing how risky that would be. Fine, then. What do you have in mind? He asked me, knowing I had no plan. Give me until morning to come up with something, I told Mala. I climbed the ladder and exited the cave to a larger opening. I sat down. Fog rolled in off of a small foothill that sat nearby. I couldn't see a few feet in front of me. I stayed seated right outside the cave. The fog dissipated, and left a small one-person space fighter sitting before me. I ran back to the cave. Mama! I yelled. What? Are we under attack? He asked with a worried voice. I don't think so. A small fighter just appeared in the front of the cave, I told him as he came running to the entrance. Oh. I thought the Uton Raiders were attacking us again. Last time we had someone yelling my name, there were enemies everywhere. They even got one of our prisoners. I'm glad to hear you fixed our spaceship problem, he said to me, finally seeing the ship for himself. I'm the one going to Umbrica, I told Mala and the other scientists. I don't think that's the smartest idea, another scientist told me. Look, I need to go. I know I was framed by someone on Beagle, and maybe it has ties to Umbrica in some way. Also, the neurogen disease is my research. I will not ask for permission. I am going, I told him. I boarded the ship with my leather jacket on my arm. I was relieved to finally get this disease cured and see my dear Jennifer again. Scene 6. Let's try on Beagle. We won't go there yet. In fact, I might end stream. But, so yeah, he's on again. You find out about Father George, the god of meddling and the god of gods. And yeah. And then you find out about Grand Commander Equinox, who is the god of chaos, war, and peace. So, yeah. All those things. Oh my god. And then you hear that they're going to make the synthesizer. They're almost there. Sorry, I'm just seeing how. Okay, page 40 is where the fun begins. And we're on page 31. So, as you see, Equinox is not the main character yet. We'll get to him. We'll get to him, I promise. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll be reading them very regularly because I need as much feedback as possible. So, thanks guys. I love all my viewers. I love all of you. And have a wonderful rest of your day. And be safe. Bye.